The morning sun glared off the cracked bus stop glass as if determined to expose every flaw in the life of Rowan Hale, a single father who felt the world constantly reminding him of everything he could not give his son. Sweat clung to his collar, his hands trembled from exhaustion, and beside him stood 7-year-old Micah, clutching a torn sketchbook to his chest. It was supposed to be an ordinary morning, another day of juggling 2 part-time jobs, unpaid bills, and the weight of a child who deserved far better, but fate had a strange way of showing up when life felt most unforgiving. Because just a few feet away stood a woman who would change everything, a woman Micah stared at with wide, hopeful eyes before whispering the words that froze Rowan's entire world. "Daddy, can she be my mommy for a day?" Rowan turned sharply, mortified, but he had no idea that the woman his son pointed to, dressed simply in jeans and a cream blouse, was not just another commuter. She was Leora Vincent, the elusive CEO of one of the city's biggest companies. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and powerful stories about humanity, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Midnight Reports. It truly helps keep stories like this alive. Rowan felt the heat rush to his face, embarrassment clawing at his throat as he gently pulled Micah close. Life had been harsh lately, harsher than he ever admitted aloud. His ex had walked out years ago, leaving nothing behind except stacks of medical bills and a boy who craved affection. Rowan had worked himself to the bone since then, waking before sunrise, sleeping long after midnight, all to keep food on the table. But even the strongest walls crack eventually, and Micah's innocent request felt like a spotlight on the pieces Rowan struggled to hold together. He whispered apologies to the woman, expecting anger or discomfort, but instead she offered a soft, understanding smile, the kind that made something inside him loosen. She didn't respond immediately, just crouched to Micah's level and complimented his drawings. Her voice was low, warm, familiar in a way Rowan couldn't explain. The bus arrived with its usual screech of weary brakes, and as they all stepped on, Rowan kept his eyes down. But Leora chose a seat beside them despite the bus being almost empty. She asked Micah about his sketches, about superheroes and animals, and why he always drew a woman with silver earrings standing beside him. Micah answered with the honesty only children possess, "That's my mommy, or what I imagined she could look like." Rowan's heart ached. He'd never known how to fill the empty spaces his ex had left behind, no matter how hard he tried. As the bus rolled through the city, Rowan noticed the faint tiredness in Leora's eyes, the type of exhaustion that didn't come from lack of sleep but from carrying responsibilities too heavy to confess. She wore no jewelry, no designer labels, just simplicity wrapped around an aura of quiet authority. Still, he didn't guess who she was. To him she was just a kind stranger offering his son a few moments of happiness. When they all stepped off near the city plaza, Rowan tried to thank her and walk away, but Micah tugged her hand, asking if she could see just one drawing he saved for special days. She agreed, kneeling on the warm pavement, listening with genuine attention as Micah flipped through jagged pages. Rowan wished he could freeze that moment, the sunlight over Micah's hair, the woman's soft smile, the temporary ease in his chest, but real life always came for him too quickly. His phone buzzed with a message from his workplace, shift cancelled. Again. His stomach sank. Rent was due soon. Electricity already threatened shut-off. And now this. Leora noticed his expression despite his attempt to hide it. Something flickered across her face, concern maybe, or recognition. She asked casually about his work, about Micah's school, about whether they lived nearby. Rowan hesitated, embarrassed, but answered honestly. He'd stopped lying out of pride long ago, survival stripped most people of that luxury. At one point, Micah asked if she could walk with them to Rowan's workplace so he could show her a big mural he wanted to finish someday. Leora agreed without hesitation. As they walked, she remained calm and silent, absorbing the worn-down buildings, the corner bakery that had closed last year, the narrow alleyway Rowan took as a shortcut to save on bus fare. She didn't judge. She simply observed quietly, empathetically, intensely. When they reached the small repair shop where Rowan worked part-time, she paused before the faded sign. He expected her to say goodbye and disappear, but instead she asked a question he never anticipated, "Is this where you spend most of your hours?" Rowan nodded, unsure what else to say. She touched the peeling paint lightly, then turned to Micah with a playful seriousness and said she'd be happy to be his mommy for a day, just for fun, if Rowan allowed it. Shock rippled through him. He didn't want Micah forming attachments that life would only crush later. But the joy on his son's face, pure and bright and rarely seen, broke through every hesitation. So he said yes. The next few hours passed like scenes from a life Rowan had always imagined but never lived. They visited the park, bought Micah his favorite strawberry ice cream, laughed as he tried to chase birds that had no fear of him. Rowan watched from a few steps behind, feeling something he hadn't felt in years, lightness. For once, the world didn't feel like it was pressing down on his chest. But the world always catches up. Near sunset, a sleek black car pulled up beside the park entrance. Several sharply dressed men stepped out, addressing Leora formally as Ms. Vincent. Rowan froze, confused, until one of them mentioned a rescheduled board meeting. That's when everything clicked. The calm, observant stranger. The unseen weight in her eyes. The simplicity that contradicted the power around her. She wasn't just anyone. She was the CEO of Vincent Holdings, the company that owned half the buildings in the district. Rowan's stomach dropped. He immediately apologized, stepping back, insisting they didn't want to trouble her. But Leora stopped him. She said she hadn't forgotten what it meant to be human. She said she admired how hard he fought for his son. And she said, quietly, firmly, that she wanted to help, if he'd let her. Not charity, but opportunity. There was a position open in her company's maintenance department. Stable hours. Real benefits. Room to grow. She believed he deserved it. Rowan's eyes burned with emotion he refused to let fall. Micah hugged her tightly, thanking her for being the best mommy for a day, and for the first time in a long while, Rowan felt hope rising instead of sinking.